Welcome to the audio version of Conjured BTS, a BTS fanfiction by Zmelio. Episode 10, Manhattan in April. Guy and Yoongi walked through a snowy Central Park. A basketball court was empty, and Guy went to rent a ball. The surrounding area was clear of people when they started to play. Yoongi was the better player, and he wasn't afraid to give Guy a hard time about it. But Guy was strong and fast, so the rougher Yoongi's smack talk got, the rougher Guy played until Yoongi was panting and had to stop talking to keep up. Guy was dribbling the ball near the half-court line. Yoongi leaned on his knees, breathing heavily. "Geez, old man," Guy mocked. "How far in the future are you from, 2030? Yoongi stood and put his hands firmly on his hips. "Whatever, you're like 19 and practically a bodybuilder. Of course you," Guy smiled and faked right, stopping Yoongi in mid-sentence as he tried to follow. Then Guy moved left but basically ran square into Yoongi, knocking him over on his way to the basket. And the ball fell through the hoop. Guy yelled, "Boom!" He turned as Yoongi stood, brushing himself off. Guy laughed as he went for the ball. Neither noticed the two girls walking by. Guy looked back at Yoongi's frown and squinted eyes. "I didn't hurt you, did I?" Yoongi waved his arms. "That's it. I'm not holding back for you anymore." Guy snorted. "Is that so? All right, let's see it." He throws the ball to Yoongi, who puts his arms up to catch it, but instead the ball goes through Yoongi's hands and then his torso. The ball bounced lazily off the court. "Dude, what happened?" Guy looked confused. "Why didn't you catch it?" "Oh my God, Ashley, I told you there were nut jobs in Central Park," they heard one of the girls say, and both turned to look. The girls only saw Guy, of course, and when they looked in their direction, they let out little squeaks and quickly walked away. The noise was enough to catch the attention of a middle-aged man walking his dog, a teenager zooming past on a bicycle, and a group of friends playing ultimate frisbee. Yoongi walked over to the ball and tried to pick it up, but his hands went through it. Again he tried, to no avail. He stood and checked their surroundings. Slowly the eyes went back to their own activities, and Guy walked to where Yoongi stood. Yoongi picked up the ball, but the park was getting more crowded, and the ball fell through his hands. If anyone happened to be looking their way, Yoongi couldn't hold the ball. "Well," Yoongi resigned, "I guess that ends that." Guy picked up the ball and sympathized with Yoongi. "I'm real sorry basketball didn't work out, Yoongi. Who knew that the spell wouldn't let you hold the ball when someone could see you? I hope it didn't feel too strange going through you." Yoongi shrugged. "That was weird, but I didn't feel a thing. I'm sorry those girls were looking at you like you lost your mind." Guy smirked. "Well, I'm used to people looking at me like I'm strange." He rolled the basketball in his hands. "I want both of us to have a good time, whether it's your dream or mine. I really want to take advantage of you being here and do fun things." Guy tucked the ball under his arm and started walking back to turn it in, and Yoongi followed. Guy thought to himself, "Screw the consequences later. So what if I spend all my savings? I want to make the most of this and show Yoongi a good time for Hojun." "How about a Broadway show?" Guy suggests. "I've always wanted to see a musical. I've seen that Carousel is playing. Do you know that musical?" "Actually, I do," Yoongi responded. Of course he knew Carousel. The You Never Walk Alone album title was inspired by a song from the show. But when Yoongi pictured Guy's tiny, not-so-tidy apartment and wondered, will that be expensive? "Nonsense, guys," Guy waved off Yoongi's real concerns. "I have money saved that I don't know what to do with. Please let me spend it on a good time this weekend." Yoongi sensed Guy's sincerity, so he agreed. "Well, if you're sure, that actually sounds great." "Awesome." Guy turned the ball in and returned to Yoongi with a plan. I'll get out some money, we'll buy the tickets, and then just hang around Manhattan until the show starts." For Yoongi, the difference in feeling from Daegu and Seoul was more stark than from Seoul to Manhattan. Ironically, it was Guy who seemed to be in awe of the city. "Look, Yoongi, it's Radio City Music Hall. Look, Yoongi, it's Times Square." Yoongi basked in Guy's enthusiasm. "Yeah, Guy, I've seen Times Square before." Guy turned to Yoongi with surprise. You have? When was that? Yoongi smiled mischievously. Well, actually, in a couple years, BTS performs at Times Square on New Year's Eve. No frickin' way, Guy shouted. Get out, he yelled and threw his arms to push Yoongi away. His arms went right through his new friend. The foot traffic around them slowed as people glared at Guy and gave him a wide berth. He looked down at his hands in horror, half expecting them to be covered in blood. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Hey kid, it's no problem, Yoongi chuckled. Hey, look at me. Guy raised his eyes from his hands to Yoongi's face. It's not a problem, you hear me? Guy nodded and lowered his hands. Guy's push didn't bother Yoongi, but as the crowd returned to normal, people were starting to walk through him. He grimaced and motioned for them to move to the side. It wasn't the most pleasant feeling, but Yoongi wasn't going to let it distract him. Guy, I thought this was your hometown, but you seem more excited about it than I am. Haven't you been here before? Oh, yeah, sure, Guy answered. We came over here to the park a few times. Guy looked up at their surroundings, but no, we didn't walk around like this. We always wanted to, but never did. We? Yoongi questioned. Oh. Guy was surprised that he had said we without even thinking. His mind shifted and he tried to deflect. Yeah, I had a friend I used to hang out with a lot. Yoongi folded his arms and tilted his head. Used to? Guy sucked in air through his teeth. He looked at Yoongi and thought for a moment before shaking his head with a shiver. I don't want to talk about it. He then turned and walked towards Broadway. Yoongi frowned with a slight nod and followed. This was it. The lesson or moral, the reason he was having this dream. Guy's dealing with a lost friendship. God knows I can relate. All I have to do is be patient and wait for the dream to reveal itself. Guy kept to himself in the lobby and in their seats, and the audience was filling in. Once the lights went down, he was back to being talkative, buzzing about the beauty of the theater and what he knew about the show. And when it was over, they sat until everyone left before Guy stood up and turned to Yoongi to ask, well, what do you think? What did you think? Yoongi probed. Guy clasped his hands together. I liked it. Yoongi stood and clapped his hands, indicating that he liked it too. Then a chime sounded on Guy's phone again. Hold on. Guy sighed roughly as he pulled out his phone and read the text. It was from Kevin. Kevin, what are you doing now? Guy, none of your business. Kevin, nothing then. Must be at home. Guy, I said it's none of your business. Kevin, hey, I'm just checking in. You're okay? Guy, none of your business. Kevin, rude. See if I care if you're alive. I just check in because Mom makes me. Guy was clearly annoyed as he returned the phone to his pocket, but Yoongi quickly turned it around, breaking into a stirring rendition of June is Bustin' Out All Over. Guy was doubled over laughing as they exited the theater, ignoring occasional looks. When it died down, Yoongi asked, What's next? Back to your place? Guy smiling broadly, replied, No, this is fun. I always wanted to stay in a hotel in Manhattan. How does that sound? Yoongi responded in French with a slight turn, Magnifique. Guy bought a takeout dinner along with soda and a bottle of whiskey on the way to the hotel. Once they had safely alone in the room, he could talk freely about everything they saw that day. Yoongi did not think much of it, nor did he think to ask Guy about his lost friend. He was enjoying the conversation too and reminiscing about the day among the bustling crowd without a thought of lockdowns or canceled events. Guy challenged Yoongi to rap songs in English that he remembered from his childhood. He would occasionally cover his mouth when he realized how vulgar and violent some of the lyrics were. It made Guy fall over laughing. For Guy's turn, Yoongi picked songs for him to try singing, and the liquor kicked in and Guy sang with a great enthusiasm and no sense of pitch. Yoongi laughed and cheered, which made Guy sing louder and louder. Their excitement came to an end when the front desk called to say that they had received a noise complaint. It had been a long day, and Yoongi had a tired look in his eyes. Guy told Yoongi that he should pick a bed and lay down, and he would sleep too as soon as he took a shower. When he got out, Yoongi was fast asleep. Guy lay down, looking back and forth from Yoongi to the ceiling. He knew his life was empty without his friend. but now he remembered clearly what he had been missing. He couldn't decide which feeling was more painful.